They are telling you it's a coincidence, a once-in-a-generation discovery immediately followed by a 1 in 10,000-year cosmic explosion. They are telling you to marvel at the synchronicity, to wonder at the deeper meaning. But in our world, a coincidence of this magnitude isn't a curiosity, it's a flashing red light. It's a data point that screams for a different kind of analysis. When two impossible things happen at the same time, the first question shouldn't be, what does it mean? The first question is, who is trying to distract us from what? We are not here to talk about cosmic poetry. We are here to look at the facts and ask what the official narrative is trying to hide. Because when you look closely at the events of July 1st and 2nd, 2025, you don't see a coincidence. You see a coordinated event. On July 1st, 2025, our planetary defense network, a system called ATLAS, logged its third ever interstellar object, designated 3I/Atlas, a visitor from another star system right here in our cosmic backyard. Then, less than 24 hours later, our telescopes were blinded by the light of GRB250702b, the longest, second-strongest gamma-ray burst ever recorded. The light from this blast traveled for 8 billion years to arrive at our doorstep at the exact moment we were welcoming a guest from the great unknown. One event is happening now, the other happened in the deep past, and yet their light arrived in the same 24-hour window. The official story is that this is a mind-bending but ultimately meaningless alignment. But when you start to stack anomalies of this scale, you have to consider another possibility, that this is not a coincidence at all. It's a message, or more likely, a cover. To understand what might be happening, we have to look at the two players involved. Let's start with the one that is physically here. On July 1st, 2025, the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, or ATLAS, did its job. ATLAS is a network of robotic telescopes funded by NASA, designed to scan the entire sky every 24 hours. Its stated purpose is to be an early warning system, looking for rocks that might pose a threat to Earth. But a system designed to watch for threats is also, by definition, a gatekeeper. It finds things, and on that day, it found an interstellar object. For all of history, we operated under the assumption that we were alone, that everything in our sky was part of our solar system. That paradigm was shattered in 2017 with 1I/Oumuamua. That object was already leaving our system when we saw it, moving in a way that defied easy explanation. It showed non-gravitational acceleration, a slight boost in speed that wasn't caused by the sun's gravity. The official explanation settled on outgassing of hydrogen or nitrogen, even though no coma or tail was ever detected. It was a bizarre, cigar-shaped object that tumbled end over end, and it left us with more questions than answers. Then came 2I/Borisov in 2019. This one looked more like a comet, but it too was strange. Its composition was unlike most comets in our own system, with an unusually high concentration of carbon monoxide gas. It must have formed in an extremely cold region of space, far different from the birthplace of our own comets. Two anomalous visitors, and now we have a third, 3I/Atlas. But this time, it's different. We spotted it on its way in. We were ready. The most powerful eyes we have were immediately turned toward it. Observations from the Hubble and James Webb telescopes began painting a picture. They tell us it's a substantial object, with a nucleus estimated between 320 and 5.6 kilometers wide. It's moving at 60 kilometers per second, a speed that confirms it is not and has never been bound by our sun's gravity. It's on a one-way trip. It comes in, loops the sun, and will be flung back out into the void, never to return. Its closest approach to Earth is on December 19, 2025, at a very safe distance of 1.8 astronomical units, about 168 million miles. But it's close enough for our most advanced instruments to perform what they call a remote geological survey. They are analyzing its reflected light and the gases it emits, a process made possible by the incredible infrared sensitivity of telescopes like the JWST. They're looking at its composition, its origins. But what else are they looking for? An object of this size, on this trajectory, isn't just a scientific curiosity, it's an intelligence asset. They aren't just looking at rock and ice, they are looking for thermal signatures, they are looking for metallic composition, they are looking for signs of technology. On any normal day, the arrival of a third well-observed interstellar object would be the biggest story in the world. But this was not a normal day. Because on the very next day, July 2nd, 2025, the universe provided the perfect distraction. Observatories detected a gamma-ray burst, GRB250702b. A GRB is not a subtle event. It is the most violent phenomenon known, short of the Big Bang itself. A typical GRB releases as much energy in a few seconds as our Sun will in its entire 10 billion year lifespan. The prevailing theory is that long-duration GRBs are the death screams of truly massive stars. When the star's core collapses into a black hole, it can fire off twin jets of energy at nearly the speed of light. If one of those jets happens to be aimed directly at Earth, we see a gamma-ray burst. Most of these events last from a few seconds to a couple of minutes, but GRB250702b was an absolute monster. The gamma-ray emissions didn't last for minutes, they went on for approximately 25,000 seconds. That is nearly 7 hours, a continuous, directed blast of high-energy radiation from an explosion of unimaginable power. For 7 hours, our sensors were flooded with a signal that had traveled for 8 billion years. An event of this duration breaks every standard model we have for how collapsars are supposed to work. It immediately sent theorists scrambling for an explanation. The story they've settled on is the helium merger model, a terrifying scenario where a black hole plunges into a massive helium star, consuming it from the inside out and powering a prolonged, violent burst. It's a convenient theory, one of the only things they have that might fit the data. But it's just that, a theory, an attempt to put an unprecedented event into a box we can comprehend. But what if it's not a natural event? What if an energy release of this magnitude and duration is something else entirely? So let's lay out the data on the table, not as a poem, but as evidence. The official narrative wants you to see these as separate, unrelated wonders. We see them as connected data points that defy random chance. Data point 1, the numbers. This is the third interstellar object ever observed. And on the next day, we see a GRB that had 3 distinct powerful pulses over its 7-hour duration. The third and final pulse was the most intense. A coincidence? Perhaps. But in intelligence analysis, patterns are everything. Data point 2, the timing. This is the crux of the issue. On July 1st, we detect 3I-ATLAS. On July 2nd, the main burst from GRB250702b arrives. But it gets more specific. Digging into the data shows that a faint X-ray afterglow from the GRB actually began to arrive on July 1st, the very same day 3I-ATLAS was flagged by our planetary defense system. It's not just a 24-hour window, the arrival times are almost perfectly synchronized. Think of the odds. An object travels for millions, perhaps billions of years through interstellar space to enter our solar system. A photon travels for 8 billion years from a distant galaxy, and they both cross the finish line, our detection threshold, at the exact same time. This isn't synchronicity, this is synchronization. Data point 3, the location. 3I-ATLAS was detected arriving from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. The coordinates for GRB250702b place its origin in a nearby patch of sky. In the vastness of the celestial sphere, for two such significant events to originate from the same general direction is another anomaly that cannot be dismissed. It suggests a common vector. When you see a pattern this clear, you have to ask what is being obscured. The GRB is an event of such staggering power and scientific mystery that it would naturally dominate the headlines and the attention of the astronomical community. It is the perfect look over here event. An explosion so big, so bizarre, that it pulls the world's most powerful observational instruments away from the much closer, much more tangible, and potentially much more significant event, the arrival of 3I-ATLAS. Let's be clear about what is happening. The official story is one of scientific progress. The GRB, they say, acts as a stress test for our fundamental theories, forcing scientists to be creative and develop new models of the cosmos. This is how science advances, by confronting anomalies that break our existing understanding. This is the story they are selling you. Meanwhile, they tell you 3I-ATLAS is a revolutionary chance to study a piece of another solar system, a physical object we can analyze right now to build a catalog of interstellar visitors. We are no longer an isolated island, but part of a galactic community exchanging material. It's a beautiful story. It's also the perfect cover. The real story is one of threat assessment and narrative control. An extreme astronomical event like GRB250702b provides the perfect justification for allocating unprecedented resources to our deep space observatories. It keeps the public looking billions of light years away. Meanwhile, a covert, intensive study of 3I-ATLAS can proceed without raising public alarm. The James Webb and Hubble telescopes are not just scientific instruments, they are the most powerful long-range surveillance assets in human history. The Remote Geological Survey is an interrogation. Is this object a natural body, or is it a probe? Is it inert, or is it active? Consider the previous visitors. Oumuamua's strange acceleration is still debated. Borisov's exotic composition points to an origin system completely alien to our own. Now a third object arrives, and just as it does, a cosmic floodlight of impossible-to-ignore energy washes over us from the same direction. This isn't a coincidence. This is a playbook. In the end, we don't know what the precise purpose of this synchronized arrival is, and that is the entire point. They want you to see it as a beautiful, incomprehensible mystery, something that speaks to bigger processes and the grandeur of the universe. They will tell you the universe doesn't send messages, it just is. We operate under a different assumption. When two events of this magnitude align so perfectly, it's naive to dismiss it. It is either an intelligently designed message, a signal flare from a civilization with capabilities far beyond our own, or it is a deliberate, strategic distraction, a cosmic magic trick. While everyone's attention is focused on the brilliant flash of the GRB 8 billion light-years away, the real action is happening right here, right now, with the quiet visitor at our doorstep. The real story isn't just about our growing ability to see the universe, it's about who controls what is seen and how that story is told. On July 1st and July 2nd, we didn't just find two clues, we were given two pieces of a puzzle. The establishment wants you to believe they don't fit together. We believe they are part of the same picture, and the question you should be asking is, what are they trying so hard to keep us from seeing?